Hey people, what's up? It's BMS here with the 4th stage of Contra Hardcore. Now, according to the mission briefing here, after we put Ron Jeremy through a rigorous waterboarding scenario, he told us that the leader of the enemy is Colonel Bahamut, which, contrary to him being a quote-unquote hero who fought in the Alien Wars, at the time of this game's release, nobody had a fucking clue who this man was. However, thanks to Hardcore Uprising, which was released for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 as the 2011 prequel to this game, we now know that Bahamut was a soldier with a heart and a conscience who has apparently gone batshit in recent years. Which leads us to the here and now, and we're in the jungle, baby! Fighting mutated green monkeys with a midget robot packing an impressive array of monster-slaying weapons! God, I love Contra! And those fuckers just defaced a statue of Buddha. And of course the hardcore can't stand for that. But enough bullshit, let's dive into some of the levels, shall we? First off, as with Stage 3, the choice you make in Stage 1 does not matter, as you'll wind up here regardless. However, depending on what choice you made, it does have a very, very minor effect on the boss of this level, which we'll get into when we make it there. Now, as for the level itself, it's pretty much just a long line of mini-boss type enemies, nothing extremely major to deal with, as long as you're paying attention. Case in point, this goofy-looking fucker. He likes to grab the bridge and yank it upwards, and if you're very unlucky or just not paying attention, he'll draw you right up into his line of fire. But aside from that, just shoot his giant-ass head, and after enough damage, he'll die, and for some strange reason, the bridge will blow up beneath you. Now on to the next phase of the stage. You land on top of what looks like some type of tree, or man-made structure, or, just throwing this out here, possibly even a mutant brontosaurus neck. This is simple. Before you can go any further, you need to destroy a set number of these little guys that are doing their sonic impression. Easy enough, just watch out as they sometimes like to drop right on top of you. Remember though, the slide is your friend. Also, quick pro tip, don't shoot the dinosaur in the face. As tempting as it is, if you do, he'll sneeze some atomic snot bubbles at you that pretty much spell instant death for our intrepid heroes. Regardless, here we come to the real mini-boss of the stage. A crazy killer robot ball that comes complete with 2 legs. Very threatening, isn't it? Now, a couple of fun facts to note about this guy. First, don't stand at the far edge of the screen when the fight starts, unless of course you like to die, like I did. Second, his legs can't hurt you except for when he throws them at you. And third, what the fuck were they thinking when they designed this guy? I mean, its first form is goofy enough, but now it throws a second ball into the mix, and it does little more than slowing it down. Do enough damage to this form and it'll take off like a rocket, and there's pretty much no reason not to finish this guy off at this point. Just remember to slide when you need to, and he should never be able to touch you, unless you're a dumbass, like me. But with Mr. Minheboss out of the way, we've made it to the end of the jungle and reached the enemy base, where we're greeted with the main boss. Now remember when I said that the boss will change, depending on what choice you made earlier? Well, you've just seen the first minor change. If you didn't kill Deadeye Joe, then he'll be piloting the thing. And if you did kill him, well, then it's pretty much on autopilot. There's also one more minor change that we'll see in just a bit. Now, this boss, like 90% of the others in this game, has, get this, multiple phases. Generally, they revolve around the main body being stationary, firing something out at you. Now, if you hit him, his body will rotate faster and faster. However, Brownie's B-gun nerfs this pretty much completely, making all phases of this boss nothing more than a joke. Now, in between each phase, this guy will crawl and fly and do some crazy weird thing by hanging from the ceiling, just to move to the next battle place. Now, while you're moving throughout the base, he's invulnerable, basically. Also, keep in mind a couple interesting points about this guy. First off, his helicopter phase. If you don't shoot it, his rotors will hardly ever reach the walls. So, don't shoot him! I just like to live dangerously. Second, aside from his rotors, the only part of his body that can actually damage you is its main body. Its little spiked leg thing that it sticks in the ceiling does nothing, which is really weird come to think of it, but a completely separate issue nonetheless. Ah, and there we go. Now it's moved on to its, well, I'm not entirely sure what to call this phase, so let's just call it his dangle phase. Easy enough, just don't get hit by his dangle and you should be fine. Now like I said before, remember that his body is the only part that can hit you. His small little wheel leg that's stuck in the ceiling does nothing. You can crawl right through it on the ceiling. Now, the second phase of the battle, it detaches itself from the ceiling and rolls all the way to the bottom right corner, at which point it will fire a long laser that ricochets off the angled walls. Pretty simple to avoid, but sometimes it can trap you. Now, the other transition point is where we see the last change to the boss that's decided by the choice in Stage 1. If Deadeye is alive, the boss will fire homing missiles at you, and if you killed Mr. Deadeye, then, well, it won't shoot anything! Don't worry, I know the whole decision-based level design hasn't done jack squat for us yet, but after this stage, that's where the choices really come into play, so just be patient! Oh, and look kids, it's the return of the Robo-Dangle! I don't know, I just think that they could have came up with something, I don't know, a little more threatening, I guess? I guess the dangle just doesn't do it for me. Also note the homing missiles, another Deadeye exclusive. Speaking of, we finally made it to the final phase of this damn thing. As soon as it walks off screen, it returns shortly in a phase that resembles its first. However, it's different in two ways. First, it fires a tricolor beam, and its main body automatically rotates counterclockwise during this. And second, instead of rotating faster when shot, each bullet that hits its body gives it a bit of a recoil, which is a pain in the ass for all characters, except for Brownie. Once again, his B-gun offers hardly any recoil at all, which completely nerfs the major threat from this guy. Also, Deadeye Joe escaped again. Big whoop, right? But with that, Stage 4 is complete. We push deeper into the base, searching for Colonel Bahamut. But wait, we've walked right into the Colonel's trap. Also, it seems that Dr. Mandrake has been working with Bahamut the entire time. What an ingenious double cross this game just threw at us from out of left field. Anyway, it's decision time once again. We're surrounded by a bunch of weak henchmen, and the only two choices we have are to fight or surrender. What will we do? What will we do? That is the question. Also, the decisions we made in Stage 1 also affect the levels we go to after this. So finally, all of our hard choices have come to fruition. This gives us 4 possible paths, which means 4 possible endings. Now go ahead and choose your destiny. This has been BMS, and I'll see you next time for one of the Stage 5s.